Rashi Bindra is a fashion enthusiast and feminist, believing women and men should be at par. She launched Fashion Philosophy, a fashion network series. I went to one of her events. Yay, it was awesome. Diverse, loved it. And Rashi also volunteers with her time through CNIB, that's the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, and World Vision. She's also content coordinator for SAPNA Toronto and social media director for Must Be Kismet, a bridal event space. Wow, Rashi, you're just shaking down the place with all sorts of things that you're doing. I love it.
I'm always all over the place.
When did you realize that your ethnicity or skin color was an issue or different? Because you're South Asian.
Yes, I am South Asian. I'm proud to be South Asian. And I love it. But I think the first time I kind of realized it was, so I grew up in Montreal, and it's more, I know, I love it.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, but I do miss Montreal for sure. But growing up, especially back then when it like we didn't have social media, we didn't have that much knowledge about different cultures and experiences to see what's going on.
So social media wasn't as prevalent and or even in existence.
No, it's been a while, so no.
Okay. Without doing too much. Go on.
Exactly. And also Montreal being very, very European, very French. That's kind of when it kind of hit, like, okay, the way I speak or my way of looking at things is not necessarily everybody's way of looking at things. Certain words, certain cultural habits, especially coming, with from immigrant parents, and that lifestyle is very different than what the lifestyle is over here. Being very open about certain things versus us not being very open about certain things. At that point, it did hit a little bit that being like not being French for Montreal, like not being super French and not being very, very fluent is could be an issue. I've been in situations where I just because I'm not considered equal to them, I've been like looked down upon or sometimes passed for certain opportunities. When people would ask me, what's your religion? First of all, they would mistaken it for, being Hindi. And I'm like, no, that's a language. That's not a religion. I would say I'm Sikh. And then they had no idea what that was. And then it like launch into that history. So they just had this very confused look on their faces all the time. For me, I could never understand why is it such a big deal, and why people would be like, oh, so what religion are you, or what's your background, or what is Punjabi? And that was the best one I used to get. So what is Punjabi? And I'm like, okay, you're sitting in front of a computer, It's like me asking, like, what is it to be a Christian or this and that, right? So I think that's kind of when it did hit you a little bit.
That you're different, right?
Very different. And then, culture, like cultural values, things like that, eating habits, all of that stuff. It is very different. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's a different way of living.